It is a pleasure for you to meet me. I am Dragonfly Jones.
Why are you always over here? I mean, don't you have a bag? Y'all sure went through a lot of trouble for old Big Mama. You know that's red.
If you remember Martin Lawrence from Martin and Bad Boys, what happened to him at 60 will break your heart. The comedy legend who once had the whole world laughing went through scandals that could have ended anyone else's career. From being banned from Saturday Night Live after going completely off script with jokes so wild they got over 200 official complaints, to being sued by his own co-star for harassment, an incident that shut down his hit TV show overnight. This is the raw, untold story of Martin Lawrence's rise, fall, and survival through chaos that almost destroyed him. Martin Fitzgerald Lawrence was born on April 16, 1965, in Frankfurt, Germany, while his dad served in the U.S. military. But don't let that military background fool you. His early life was anything but easy. When Martin was just 8 years old, his parents split, and his dad walked out for good, leaving his mom, Clara, to raise 6 kids all by herself. The family moved back to the States, ending up in Section 8 housing. While his mom worked 2 jobs nonstop just to keep food on the table, Martin later shared how his mother always found a way to make sure they had what they needed, even when the money was gone before the week was over. His brother Robert remembered those rough days, saying that while they didn't have much, their mom's love was what kept everything from falling apart. Growing up in rough neighborhoods taught Martin one thing: you either learn to defend yourself or get stepped on. By the time he was 15, he'd already found his outlet: boxing. He started training at the Sugar Ray Leonard Boxing Center in Maryland, and within no time, he became an amateur athletic union champ. Martin was a natural in the ring, quick with his hands and sharp with his instincts. But one brutal match changed it all. He took a devastating punch straight to the face, and when his mom saw him battered and swollen, she put her foot down. She told him, "That's it, you're done boxing." And just like that, Martin's dream in the ring was over. That moment flipped his whole life around. Instead of fighting with his fists, Martin decided to fight with punchlines. All that discipline, focus, and grit from boxing carried straight into his stand-up comedy hustle. He even joked later that his boxing coach once told him he was too cautious. Martin avoids giving and taking punches. Seems like he just saved his hits for the stage instead. Before fame found him, Martin was grinding through regular jobs just to get by. One of those gigs was as a telephone sales rep at Sears, trying to sell maintenance plans to people who bought appliances. But he didn't close a single deal. What he did gain, though, were lifelong friendships with 2 co-workers sitting nearby: Cheryl James and Sandra Denton, who the world would later know as Salt and Pepa. Martin used to crack jokes all day, distracting them and keeping the whole floor laughing. But when he finally tried stand-up for the first time, it was a total disaster. He bombed so hard, he thought he'd never touch a mic again. But instead of walking away, Martin became a true student of the game. He studied his comedy idols, dissected their routines, and learned from every single flop. When he finally stepped back on stage, he came ready to own it.
You wild boy. At least my lady ain't leave me for no damn garden.
His persistence paid off big time. His wild energy, over-the-top expressions, and fearless takes on controversial topics made him stand out like no one else in the comedy scene. Martin started creating unforgettable characters and voices that fans couldn't get enough of. His name started buzzing around comedy clubs until TV executives couldn't ignore him anymore. By the early 1990s, Martin had the spotlight in his hands, and his life was about to change forever. His big break came with the sitcom Martin, which premiered in 1992 and showed off just how talented he really was. The show became an instant cultural hit, turning Martin into one of the most recognizable and talked about stars in the entertainment world. But with all that fame came a whole new kind of pressure. The jump from a struggling stand-up comic to a household name happened so fast that Martin barely had a second to catch his breath. The fame, the money, the expectations. It was a storm he wasn't fully ready for. The show Martin didn't just change his career, it changed him. Running for 5 unforgettable seasons, it proved he wasn't just funny, he was legendary. Martin played multiple hilarious characters, each one more iconic than the last, showing that he was truly a one-man comedy powerhouse. He brought unforgettable characters to life, like the loud, hilarious Shanae Jenkins and the no-nonsense Mama Payne, proving just how unstoppable his range and physical comedy really were. His ability to switch voices, faces, and personalities in seconds had people crying with laughter every week. The success hit fast, and it hit hard. Martin went from struggling to pay rent to making millions, and that kind of fame can mess with anyone's head. The attention, the pressure, the power, it was intoxicating. Jamie Masada, owner of the legendary Laugh Factory Comedy Club in Los Angeles, saw that shift up close. He noticed how fame started changing Martin, saying that once the money rolled in, Martin began showing up with bodyguards and full-on security everywhere he went. Masada said that some people can handle fame, but others, if they're not grounded, can get swallowed by it. Steve White, who wrote for Martin and even shared an apartment with him back in the day, made a sharp comparison. He said Martin was more like Mike Tyson than Will Smith or Evander Holyfield. White explained that, like Tyson, Martin had a big heart and would do anything for the people close to him. But not everyone understood how deep and complicated he really was. Martin later admitted that fame hit him harder than he ever expected. He said he tried to prepare himself for it, but nothing could have really gotten him ready for what was coming. The pressure of carrying a hit TV show, trying to keep his personal life together, and being under constant public watch, it all started to weigh him down heavy. The first big public meltdown came in February 1994, when Martin hosted Saturday Night Live. What was supposed to be a routine gig turned into a full-blown controversy. Instead of sticking to the script, he went off the rails, dropping a wild set of jokes about women's hygiene that left both the studio audience and TV viewers in shock. The backlash was instant.
Thank everybody for the concern and the love, and just thank you, but Marty's all good.
SNL got hit with over 200 complaints, and the network pulled his entire monologue from reruns for good. After that, Martin got banned from SNL, though he later claimed it wasn't the show itself, but NBC that made that call. Still, Martin didn't back down or apologize. He stood his ground and told interviewers that he wasn't going to water down his comedy just to make people comfortable. He said he just wanted to speak his truth and give audiences what he felt in the moment. That defiant attitude, his refusal to play by Hollywood's rules, became a big part of who he was. Martin wasn't scared to push boundaries, even if it meant putting his career or relationships on the line. But despite the chaos, the success of Martin opened new doors, landing him movie roles in hits like House Party and Boomerang. Each new project made Martin's fame skyrocket, and the money kept pouring in. But with every success came more pressure to keep that superstar image alive. The spotlight got hotter, the expectations heavier, and behind the scenes, the cracks were starting to show. Everything he'd been carrying, fame, stress, personal battles, was slowly building up to a breaking point that no one saw coming. By 1996, Martin Lawrence entered what would become the most chaotic and troubling period of his life. All that pressure finally exploded into a series of shocking incidents that left fans and friends genuinely worried about his mental and emotional state. The scariest moment happened in Los Angeles, when Martin was seen wandering in the middle of Ventura Boulevard in Sherman Oaks, right in the middle of traffic. Witnesses said he looked completely out of it, yelling, sweating, and moving erratically while cars swerved around him. People couldn't believe what they were seeing. When police showed up, they found Martin standing in the street with a loaded handgun, shouting random phrases and refusing to calm down. A witness named Aaron Berg told reporters he was stunned, saying Martin was arguing with officers and the whole thing was just crazy to watch. During the chaos, Martin even cracked a strange joke, saying he'd always told people that they'd be coming for him someday. After finally being restrained, police took him to Sherman Oaks Hospital for evaluation before transferring him to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center for further treatment. It was a shocking moment that made the world realize something was seriously wrong. At first, reports claimed Martin's breakdown on Ventura Boulevard happened because he stopped taking his prescribed meds, which might have triggered a seizure. But later, his doctor, William Young, came forward with a different story, saying Martin wasn't having a mental breakdown at all. Instead, he was suffering from extreme exhaustion and dehydration, completely worn out from overworking himself and never taking time to rest. But the chaos didn't stop there. Just 3 months later, Martin found himself in trouble again. This time, at Burbank Airport, he tried to board a plane to Phoenix while carrying a loaded 9mm Beretta pistol in his bag. When airport security stopped him, Martin told police he honestly thought it was legal to bring guns on interstate flights. The wild part? No charges were filed. Somehow, he walked away from that incident without facing legal trouble. Not long after that, things got heated again. This time at a nightclub, where Martin reportedly got into a fight on the dance floor. Witnesses said he punched a man just because the guy accidentally bumped into him while they were dancing. All these back-to-back incidents painted a troubling picture of a man clearly losing control, struggling to keep his cool and make level-headed decisions while the world watched every move he made. Meanwhile, Martin's personal life was falling apart fast. His marriage to Patricia was crumbling, and by 1996, things hit rock bottom when she filed for divorce and even got a restraining order against him. What came next shocked everyone. Patricia made some serious allegations about Martin's behavior that painted a dark picture of what was going on behind closed doors. According to court documents, Patricia claimed Martin had left her threatening messages, warning her and her family about what he'd do because of what she had supposedly done to his own family. And just a day later, she said those threats got worse, turning into promises of violence toward her and her relatives. Things took an even darker turn when Patricia said she found an unsigned note slipped under her door, filled with creepy messages about getting her back, along with chilling threats that if Martin couldn't have her, no one else would. The note even ended with strange declarations of love tied to death, something straight out of a psychological thriller. Patricia's divorce attorney, Suzanne Harris, didn't hold back either. She blamed the people around Martin for enabling him instead of helping him. Harris told People magazine that she believed Martin was surrounded by people who cared more about keeping the money flowing than making sure he got the help he clearly needed. She said his entourage was protecting their paychecks, not his peace of mind. But the chaos didn't stop at home. It followed him straight onto the set of Martin. Behind the laughter and big ratings, there was growing tension between Martin and his co-star Tisha Campbell, who played his on-screen wife. By November 1996, things got so bad that Tisha walked off the set and refused to come back, saying the work environment had become intolerable. Just 2 months later, she officially announced she was quitting the show completely. After walking away from the show, Tisha Campbell took a bold step. She filed a lawsuit against Martin, accusing him of battery and harassment. The case was eventually settled out of court, but by then, the damage was already done. The fallout shattered their friendship, wrecked the vibe on set, and left fans heartbroken that the chemistry they loved so much on screen had turned so toxic behind the scenes. Even though tensions were sky high, Campbell and Martin managed to reunite just long enough to film the final few episodes of Martin in 1997. But anyone watching could tell, the show's end was the result of a workplace gone completely off the rails. Later, Martin claimed he ended the show on his own terms, telling GQ in 2020 that he simply decided it was time to wrap it up rather than getting canceled. But when Campbell was asked about that interview during the talk, her reaction said it all. She was shocked by Martin's version of events. She couldn't reveal much because of confidentiality agreements, but her tone made it clear that the real story was a lot messier than Martin made it sound. At that point, a troubling pattern had fully emerged. Martin's behavior was tearing apart his relationships, both personal and professional. He had the fame, the fortune, and everything he once dreamed of, but it seemed like he just couldn't handle the intense pressure that came with it all. And just when everyone thought things couldn't get worse, the unthinkable happened. In August 1999, Martin's life spiraled into its most terrifying chapter yet. At the peak of his career, while preparing for his physically demanding role in Big Mama's house, he was determined to get in shape fast. His plan to lose weight through intense workouts seemed harmless at first, but what came next nearly cost him his life. But the way Martin went about getting in shape turned into a life-or-death mistake. On one of the hottest days of the summer, he decided to go jogging, but not in regular workout gear. Martin threw on multiple layers of clothes under a plastic jogging suit, thinking it would help him sweat out the weight faster. That combo, extreme heat, heavy clothing, and non-stop running, turned into a disaster waiting to happen. As he ran, Martin's body temperature skyrocketed, rising to levels no human body could handle. Eventually, he collapsed from severe heat stroke, with his temperature hitting a life-threatening 107 degrees. Paramedics rushed to the scene and immediately took him to the hospital, where doctors placed him on a respirator to keep him breathing. For 3 terrifying days, Martin lay in a coma, while his family and friends held their breath, fearing the worst. When Martin finally woke up, he wasn't the same man anymore. In a 2002 interview, he shared how the experience completely humbled him, saying he felt like God had laid him down and then woke him up to see life more clearly. That brush with death forced Martin to rethink everything: his choices, his priorities, and what truly mattered beyond the fame and money. Years later, he found the courage to joke about it during an interview on Conan O'Brien's show, telling the audience to never run in plastic suits. He laughed about how he picked the hottest day of the year to go running, only to end up sleeping on the ground instead. But behind the laughter was a chilling truth. His reckless decision that day nearly cost him his life. That coma became a serious turning point in Martin's life. After coming so close to death, he started taking his health and peace of mind way more seriously. He worked hard to get control over the anger and impulsive behavior that had wrecked parts of his life during the mid-1990s. Martin even admitted that his temper and drinking had caused major problems. And this time, he was determined to find better ways to handle stress instead of letting it handle him. Surprisingly, his relationship with his ex-wife Patricia also began to heal. Even after their bitter split, they managed to keep things peaceful for the sake of their daughter, Jasmine. That effort showed a new side of Martin, a more mature, grounded man who was finally learning how to balance his family, his emotions, and his fame. With his mind clearer and his energy refocused, Martin jumped back into Hollywood with a fresh perspective. His comeback film, Big Mama's House, became a massive box office hit, pulling in over $170 million worldwide. The wild part? The same physically demanding role that almost killed him during training ended up becoming one of the biggest wins of his career. Martin Lawrence's recovery from that 1999 coma marked the start of a steadier chapter. Still full of challenges, but also growth. The near-death experience taught him to look at fame, money, and success with more caution and gratitude. But even though he was wiser and stronger, the pressure of the entertainment world never really went away. It just found new ways to test him. The Big Mama's House franchise turned into Martin's biggest movie success ever. The film spawned 2 hit sequels, pulling in hundreds of millions around the world and proving that Martin still had that golden comedic touch. At the same time, his partnership with Will Smith in the Bad Boys films kept fans hyped for decades. Every new movie reminded everyone that Martin's chemistry and timing with Will were still unbeatable, no matter what he'd been through personally. But behind the scenes, Martin's whole approach to fame had changed. He started being more selective with his projects, taking longer breaks between films, and focusing on protecting his mental and physical health. The once fearless comedian who used to push every boundary had learned to slow down, think things through, and actually consider the consequences before diving into something new. Fast forward to 2024, and fans started buzzing again. But this time, the talk wasn't about a movie. Rumors about Martin's health exploded online after footage from the Bad Boys Ride or Die premiere started circulating. In the video, Martin was seen standing next to Will Smith on a double-decker bus, waving to fans. But some viewers thought he looked unsteady and confused. Social media went wild, with people speculating that Martin might have suffered a stroke or was secretly battling a serious illness. The whispers grew so loud that Martin decided to address it head-on. During an appearance on Hot 97's Ebro in the Morning, host Ebro Darden asked him directly about the health rumors. Martin shut it down right away. He said he wasn't sick at all. He explained that he was just overwhelmed by the massive crowd and the energy of the premiere. It was a moment that showed fans that while he's calmer now, the spotlight still hits him hard sometimes. One thing that stayed rock solid through all of Martin Lawrence's highs and lows is his lifelong battle with stage fright. Even after decades of performing, blockbuster movies, and millions of fans cheering his name, Martin still gets nervous before stepping on stage. In 2016, he opened up about it, admitting that he still feels intense anxiety before every show. But instead of letting it shake him, he's learned to use those nerves as motivation. He said that energy keeps him sharp, focused, and ready to give people his best every time. That kind of honesty, showing that vulnerability, makes Martin feel more real and relatable than ever. Behind the fame and the larger-than-life comedy persona is a man who still fights through fear every time the spotlight hits him. Instead of letting anxiety freeze him, he flips it, turning that pressure into pure performance energy. Now, at 60 years old, Martin Lawrence stands as both a comedy legend and a warning about the heavy price that comes with fame. His journey, from a poor kid growing up in government housing to one of Hollywood's most recognized stars, is the ultimate rags-to-riches story. But that success came with some dark lessons. His battles with mental health, legal troubles, and near-death moments exposed the side of fame most people never see. The kid who once fought to survive in the boxing ring and hustled in comedy clubs had to learn an even tougher fight: how to face the demons that fame and pressure bring. His 3-day coma back in 1999 was the wake-up call that probably saved his life, forcing him to finally slow down and confront the reckless choices that had nearly destroyed everything he built. Today's Martin Lawrence is a man who's been through the fire and come out wiser. He understands the value of health, family, and peace of mind in a way his younger self never could. His story isn't just about fame. It's about survival, redemption, and learning what truly matters when the spotlight fades. He's come a long way, learning to tame his stage fright, control his temper, and move through life with the kind of wisdom that only comes from almost losing it all. Martin Lawrence isn't just a funny man. His legacy runs deeper than the laughs he's brought to millions around the world. His story is one of resilience and redemption, a reminder that even when the world knocks you down hard, you can still find your way back up. Martin's journey gives hope to anyone fighting battles with fame, mental health, or just trying to hold their life together when it feels like it's falling apart. He's living proof that you can crash, burn, and still rebuild stronger than before. When Martin finally stood on that stage to receive his Hollywood Walk of Fame star, those tears in his eyes weren't just about success. They symbolized a man who had walked through darkness and finally stepped back into the light. Martin Lawrence didn't just survive fame. He learned how to live with it. If you felt inspired by Martin's story, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and drop a comment below. Let's keep the conversation going and celebrate one of comedy's greatest survivors.